Hey everyone, hello again. You've got me twice in one day. I'm not sure if that's. I think we're pretty lucky. So this morning or this afternoon for our Becoming Professionally Famous online episode. So we were supposed to go live yesterday, but I was somewhere over the Pacific in a plane, not able to go live, which is kind of problematic, when there's no Wi-Fi in there. So I thought that we would do this today, and for those of you who are watching the recording or the replay of this, thank you, and really honoured and grateful to have you coming and having a listen. So the thing that I wanted to talk with you about this week is the importance of really expanding and extending upon your learning and your knowledge. Now, one of the easiest ways of doing this, of course, is by reading or listening to books. So the books that I've found that have been really had profound impacts in my world are really for, there's two main books and then three main books rather, and then one main author. And I think that it's really interesting actually how at various different times these different books have kind of come around at the time that I've needed to listen to the lessons. So it's a little bit like, when the student is ready, the teacher appears and all of that type of thing. So as you're coming in, please let me know that you can hear me. It's kind of really a bit weird coming to you live from a somewhat public place this time around. So the first book that I remember having a really massive, oh my God, impact on me was The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And some of the big things I think that I really took away from that particular book was the lessons around why we hold ourselves back and the limits that can kind of come up as we're going through our growth period. So I remember in 2014, I first read about this. I first read this book. I can't even remember who it was that recommended it to me. But the lessons and things that I found in there. All right, thanks, Judith. Is that any better? If you can let me know. It's really kind of, I'm trying to be not as loud as normal because, because of all the people. So I hope that's better. If someone can let me know, either with a thumbs up or a heart, that would be really great. Okay, thank you, Judith. I appreciate it. Okay, cool. I'll sit here, sitting like this for the rest of the call. Hey, Fabian, nice to see you. Okay, so there was a time where in I don't know, I think it was 2014, where I'd hit these massive goals, right? But I'd also felt like I was hitting a bit of an income ceiling, an output ceiling, and I felt like almost like a potential ceiling, if you like. And somebody, again, I can't remember who it was that recommended it to me, but somebody suggested that I read this book, The Big Leap. So I was reading and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like, and I've done a lot of petty at this point, but it's like, like onions have layers. And every time you kind of peel off a layer, we then recalibrate, and then something else will happen, and then we find that there's then another layer that we need to then work through. So this is what The Big Leap kind of really highlighted for me. So there was one of the things was, well, why do we keep hitting this income ceiling? Why do we keep not seeming to be able to get over and above? So we talked in there a lot about limiting beliefs and the different types of limiting beliefs that there are. But the other really big thing, and I still use it actually in my coaching to this very single day, is around our zone of genius and how to articulate that. So a big thing that I had in my head, and I had conversations with clients about this actually over the last couple of weeks as well. The thing is that I didn't see how I was really that unique. I teach marketing, I can teach social media, I can help people get results, but, so can a bunch of other people. So, what was it that made me so freaking special? And one of the things that he really helped to explain, and it's on about page 138 approximately from memory, if you've got the book, if you're going to read the book, he takes you through some questions in order to help you to articulate it. And I think for me, the reason that I really loved this was it helped me to see that, well, you know what, it's not actually the qualifications that, or the stripes that I've earned, that have kind of made me unique. It's our journey, our story, our upbringing, our experiences as well as the knowledge and the way that we bring, but also it's about who you are, right? It's about the way that you show up. It's about the way that you do what it is that you do. It's about your stories and the way that you can articulate things that are necessary for you to be able to articulate. So, that's that type of thing. So it's really, I found that was, so helpful in for me in order to be able to really kind of cement and be like, yep, I get it. So The Big Leap, if you haven't read it, you totally need to read it. I also recommend listening to it. There's something about the audio version that's just also really, really cool. So is that. Another book that was like a kind of a couple of other books that were really important in my journey. So number one was The Alchemist. So The Alchemist, if you haven't listened to or read this book, it's a really interesting metaphor about this man who goes through life and it kind of ends up back in the same place because he was looking for this treasure, like looking for the riches, looking for the payoff, and it brought him right back. But I think the other thing is like the main message that I took out of this one is that the universe conspires to give you what it is that you're looking for. It gives you what you want, and so long as you're taking the right action and you're taking the right steps, if anyone, like, who here has felt like, am I doing the right steps? Am I taking the right steps? Am I doing the right thing? When are things going to change? I don't know about you, but I have. And that can come from a kind of like a chink in your confidence or taking a bit of a hit in whatever way, shape or form that has happened. And I think that for me, it's like I still go back to, like, even now, I still go back and it's like, it's okay. So long as I'm taking the right action, inspired action, then the universe will conspire to give me what it is that I want when I've got the right intentions, when I'm taking the right actions to be able to bring it to life and just trusting in the process, which my logical brain is just like, my spiritual brain is like, right? You guys know what I mean. I'm hoping you know what I mean. So that was that one. Brene Brown. All of Brene Brown's books, I was saying there's one particular author, all of her books are super, super important. Not only have they changed and impacted my life, my business life, but they've also changed and impacted my personal life. So the way that I am with my children. So if you haven't listened to or read any of Brene Brown's stuff, whether it's the Power of Vulnerability, Daring Greatly, Rising Strong, any of those, like, you've got to get out, do yourself a favor and go and do that. It gave me a bit of almost like a structure, I suppose, for want of a better word, with how to really have vulnerable conversations. So I'm the kind of person who is very much, okay, this is a problem, let's just fix it, let's just get on, no, I don't have time for this shit. So just like, just keep powering on. And what I didn't like but liked about the stuff that Brene talks about is really about how much power there is in acknowledging and owning and talking about how we're feeling. So when I can't remember which book it was in, it's also helped with my team as well, having conversations with team and having conversations with staff and actually with friends as well, when it comes to, if I felt hurt or misunderstood. And it's all about the stories that we make up in our heads, right? So how this played out for me, we were going through a rough patch with my husband, and I was reading one of her books, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to give this a whirl. So I said to Dom, like, babe, we've got to sit down and have a conversation. It's going to be my shitty first draft, but and I can't really articulate it particularly well, but really this is the easiest way that I can explain what's going on. Like, this is a story that I'm making up in my head, and it was all about, whatever else, all of these other things and stories and stuff and whatever else that were rolling around in my brain that were, that there wasn't really any evidence for necessarily, but I made up this whole story about it. So it provided a way for us to be able to start a dialogue and then actually start working through that kind of thing. And I've done the same thing with my team. I've done actually similar things with friends, and I think it's just a really important skill for us to be able to kind of get under our belts. So Brene Brown and anything that she writes, you're just gonna love. And then the fourth book that I really wanted to chat with you, actually there's two more. The fourth book that I wanted to talk to you about today is a book called Relentless. So if you are an entrepreneur, if you are driven, motivated, and you're just kind of like, you're all about taking action, then you've got to read Relentless by Tim Grover. This book really made me feel okay with how I am and who I am. I'm very driven, very motivated, and that kind of thing. And it really helped me to understand a bit more about my kind of like almost like my innate behaviour and how we can leverage that. So if you're kind of similar to me, then I think that's a really awesome one for you. And then the final one that I wanted to chat with you about today, before I set you free about your Wednesdays, is a book called The 4 Agreements. This book, my gosh, it right at the very start, it talks about how we're conditioned as children to behave and to how we interact and how we operate. And what I really loved about the 4 Agreements and the way that he delivers that, so I listened to it via audiobook, was all about, not taking anything personally, choosing your words carefully. And I think that those four things in there just really help you, or help a lot of people, not you necessarily, but help a lot of people to live a kind of life that is very rounded off, I suppose. Being impeccable with your word. Don't say things that you don't want to come true, either in your head or even vocally, or don't. Just be really mindful about the way that you talk to yourself, because words can kind of they're energetic, right? So they can kind of solidify, and then they can become reality. So you've got to be really careful with the words that we're using. So that's kind of, they're the 5 main things. So The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, The Alchemist, I can never say his name right, it's Paulo Coelho, I think. Anything by Brene Brown, Relentless by Tim Grover, and The 4 Agreements by Miguel. I can't think of his last name off the top of my head. So that's that for today. So if you guys got any questions about this, if you want to know more about why I think these are really powerful, we could probably almost do like a whole episode on each of them with the key learnings and the key points from all of them. Just thought that would be super helpful. At the moment, I'm listening to a book on telling stories. So I'm so excited to start implementing this stuff about what I'm learning and what I'm reading and things like that. So I think if there's anything that's been really profound for you, like any books that you've read that you're just like, oh my God, I think everybody on the planet needs to read this, or every entrepreneur needs to read and listen to this, then share it. Let us know. We'll grow by helping each other grow. So that's me for today. Have a really awesome Wednesday afternoon. It's a short, sharp and shiny episode today, coming to you live from the Qantas Lounge while I await my next flight to get home. We have got, tomorrow is a how-to Thursday, so if there's anything that you want me to know how to on anything, let me know, and I'll make sure that we get it into an episode for you, and then Celebrations Fridays to round off the week. Next episode on our Becoming Professionally Famous Online, I am talking all about planning. So for those of you that aren't aware, I've been away for the last week, and the planning that I did probably about 2 weeks in the lead up to coming away has been absolutely paramount in me being able to be fully immersed in the training that I was a part of and in the consulting work that I've done while I was away. It meant that I didn't have to think about anything. I knew that everything was taken care of. So I'm going to chat with you next week about how I do that, and about why it's important and how this ties into your annual planning, into your quarterly planning, and into your monthly planning, into your weekly plan. So that's going to be next week. Meanwhile, have a really amazing Wednesday, and I will talk with you all soon. Bye.